The galaxy did not expect humans to survive long. Many alien races believed humans were too soft, too emotional, too unpredictable to stand against the dangers of deep space. So when the warning came from the outer rim, when the sensors detected strange readings from a dead zone of space, nobody imagined that humanity would play a major role in what happened next. For months, the Galactic Council watched strange signals moving across the void. They were slow at first, like distant echoes, but then the signals changed. They grew sharper, louder, and closer. Something was coming, something powerful, something alive. Commander Ryan Hale stood alone on the command deck of the human ship Horizon 4. He was young compared to most officers, but his instincts were strong. He had survived battles that older soldiers did not. His dark eyes studied the star map in silence as a cold feeling spread through him. The unknown signals were no longer unknown. They were here. Alien fleets from many worlds rushed to the same point in space, forming a defensive line. Ships shimmered with shields glowing like blue halos. Weapons warmed, engines hummed. And still, every alien mind felt fear. Because the creatures approaching were not ordinary enemies. They were Apex. Nobody knew what the Apex were exactly. Some believed they were ancient predators from a forgotten age. Others said they were experiments gone wrong, created by a lost empire. But one truth was clear. Any world the Apex touched disappeared. Commander Ryan watched the first image appear on the screen. Not giant monsters, not towering beasts, but small, black, cat-like cubs, each with glowing eyes and razor-bright teeth. They were adorable. But the last surviving report from a destroyed planet said a single cub had torn down a fortress wall, another had melted armor with a scream, and an adult Apex, never seen, only rumored, was said to be strong enough to break a moon. So the Council named them the most dangerous young predators in the galaxy, Apex Cubs. The aliens on the Horizon 4 backed away from the screen, terrified. But Ryan stepped forward, confused. Their fur was fluffy. Their ears twitched. They looked more curious than deadly. "Sir," the alien officer whispered, "we must fire before they get close." Ryan did not answer. He kept staring at the cubs drifting in the dark. Something was wrong. Predator cubs never travel alone. Predator cubs never travel silent. Predator cubs never travel without fear. But these cubs were not afraid. They moved with slow confidence, like they already owned the space around them. Then something unexpected happened. The smallest cub drifted closer to the viewing drone. It tilted its head, its eyes widened, its tail flicked. And for the first time in recorded history, an Apex cub made a sound that was not a scream, not a roar, and not a weapon. It meowed, soft, high, curious. Ryan blinked. The alien crew gasped. Every alien ship on the screen hurriedly backed away. Fear spread through the fleets like wildfire. Nobody wanted to be the first target if the cubs attacked. A communication channel crackled. "This is Council Ship Velmora. All forces stand ready. Destroy on sight if the Apex show any aggression." Ryan closed the channel. Destroy? These creatures did not look aggressive. They looked like lost babies. Then the sensors beeped again. A small life pod drifted between the cubs, broken, spinning, and clearly human-made. Ryan's eyes widened. Someone human had been with these cubs. Someone had tried to protect them. He issued a fast command. "Bring the pod aboard, now." The aliens argued, but Ryan's voice was final. The pod was retrieved and opened. Inside were scratches, claw marks, and one message scratched into metal by a weak human hand. "Do not hurt them. They trust humans." Ryan felt a chill run down his spine. Trust humans? How? Why? Before he could think more, the cubs turned their heads toward his ship. All three stared directly at the Horizon 4, eyes glowing with a strange intelligence. They moved closer, 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 until they landed gently on the hull like silent shadows. Alarms screamed across the ship. The alien soldiers panicked. Blasters charged. Ryan raised a hand. "Do not fire." But the aliens trembled. "They are monsters." Ryan looked again at the message in the pod. They trust humans. If he fired, humanity would become their enemy forever. If he didn't, he risked the entire ship. Ryan walked toward the airlock alone. The crew begged him to stop. He ignored them and placed his hand on the manual override. The airlock opened. Cold air rushed in, and the three cubs stood there, small, dark, eyes bright like stars. They stared at him, curious. One stepped forward, sniffing him. Another pawed at his boot. The smallest one tilted its head and let out a tiny chirp. Ryan slowly knelt. "It's okay," he whispered. The smallest cub leaped into his arms as if it had known him forever. The others followed, climbing onto him like he was their guardian. The alien crew watched in shock. How could the galaxy's most feared predators behave like harmless kittens around a human? Ryan held the cubs gently, their warm bodies pressed against him, their purrs vibrated through his armor. In that moment, he understood. These were not weapons. These were not monsters. These were children. Strong, yes, but lost. And for some unknown reason, they saw him as family. The ship trembled again. More signals appeared, stronger, heavier, massive shapes moving from the dark. Alien fleets readied weapons. Fear spread like fire. The adults were coming. Ryan stood tall, cubs in his arms, knowing the galaxy was about to change forever, and he was standing at the center of it. The Horizon 4 fell silent as the three apex cubs purred in Commander Rian's arms. Every alien soldier stared in disbelief. These creatures were known for destroying fleets, crushing metal, and tearing through shields, yet they behaved like harmless younglings around the human. The cubs snuggled closer, warm and soft, their glowing eyes half closed with trust. Ryan felt their tiny claws gently gripping his armor, not attacking, but holding on like frightened children. The calm lasted only a moment. The alarm lights flared red, sensors shook. Something massive warped into the system. The alien crew froze with horror, and even the bravest officers stepped back. The adults had arrived. Outside the viewing windows, enormous shapes emerged from the dark. Shadows long as mountains moved across the stars. The atmosphere thickened. The air felt heavy. Energy signatures rose far beyond safe levels. The apex adults were not small like the cubs. No one had ever seen them directly, but rumors said they were living storms, walking weapons, beings older than many civilizations. Ryan gently set the cubs down, but they refused to move away. They circled him, tails swaying defensively, their ears flattened, their pupils narrowed. For the first time, they no longer looked like cute animals. They looked like protectors. The alien crew panicked. "Commander, we must fire. They will destroy us." "Raise shields. Prepare escape pods." Ryan stepped forward. "Stand down. Weapons stay cold." The aliens shouted back. "You don't understand. Those creatures kill everything." Ryan lifted his hand slowly. "If we attack first, the adults will see us as enemies. If we stay calm, maybe they will not attack." But even his voice carried doubt. The giant shapes outside grew clearer. Heavy wings, sharp silhouettes, glowing patterns moving under their skin like molten rivers. Their roars shook every bone in the ship. One of the cubs climbed onto Ryan's shoulder. It hissed at the window, trying to look threatening, but it only looked small and adorable. The aliens nearly fainted. "If that thing angers the adults, we're dead." Ryan touched the cub gently. "Easy. They know you're safe." But the cubs did not calm. They pressed their bodies around Ryan, forming a circle as if claiming him. Their small, glowing eyes turned toward the massive beings outside. Then something strange happened. The largest adult apex stopped moving. Its glowing lines dimmed. Its roar faded into a low hum. The creature turned its enormous head toward the horizon floor, as if sensing something inside. The cubs chirped. The giant apex responded, not with a roar, but with a deep, soft sound that vibrated through the ship. The alien officers stood frozen. They had never heard an apex make a gentle noise. Ryan took a slow breath. "Open a communication channel. Visual only." "But Commander, that's an order." The screen activated. A giant eye filled the display. It was bright, ancient, and powerful. The aliens trembled. Ryan felt a cold wave move across his back. The cubs chirped again, louder this time. The giant apex blinked. It recognized them. Ryan slowly lifted the smallest cub into view. The little creature meowed loudly. The giant apex's eye softened. The glowing patterns on its skin brightened with warm colors. The energy levels dropped. The adult apex was not preparing to attack. It was relieved. Ryan realized the truth. The cubs were not lost children. They were royal younglings. Their parents were searching for them across the galaxy, destroying anything that stood in their way. But why were they alone in a human pod? Before he could ask himself more, a communication ping came through. It wasn't from the Apex. It was from the Galactic Council. The council leader's voice trembled. "Commander Hale, is your ship under attack?" Ryan answered, calm but firm. "No, the Apex are not attacking." "They came for their cubs!" Chaos erupted behind the council leader. Aliens screamed, officers argued, warnings blasted. Weapons were being armed across hundreds of ships. "Commander, step away from them! Destroy them while you can!" Ryan's eyes hardened. "I will not fire on children. They are not children. They are weapons." "They trusted humans," Ryan said. "I will protect them." Silence. Pure shock. Even the council leader struggled to speak. "Commander, if you disobey orders now, you may trigger war." Ryan looked at the cubs pressed against him. Their soft bodies trembled. They sensed the tension. They knew their fate depended on him. "If war comes because we showed kindness," Ryan said, "then maybe the galaxy fears the wrong species." He ended the transmission. The alien officers stared at him like he had lost his mind, but slowly, very slowly, they lowered their weapons. Humans had a strange effect on other races. Their courage was contagious. The giant apex outside began moving again, but slowly and cautiously, as if asking permission to approach. Ryan nodded toward the window. The airlock doors shook. The cubs chirped. The ship trembled as something massive landed gently on the hull, soft, careful, almost afraid. The adult apex lowered its head, bringing a glowing eye close to the humans. It studied Ryan, breathing softly. Its breath was warm like a giant furnace. The cubs rushed forward, pressing their tiny heads against the metal as if greeting their parent. But the adult did not take them. It continued staring at Ryan. Then Ryan realized something impossible. The Apex were not only protecting their cubs, they were evaluating him, testing him, accepting him as what? A friend? A guardian? Something more important? The giant creature slowly backed away, making space for the cubs to move closer to the airlock. But instead of leaving, the cubs stayed with Ryan. They climbed back into his arms, refusing to go. The adult apex let out a deep, echoing sound, sad, confused, longing. The aliens behind Ryan whispered, terrified and amazed. "The cubs. Choose you." Ryan felt the weight of their small bodies and the heavier weight of responsibility. Something huge was happening, something that could change the galaxy. The cubs cuddled deeper into his chest. Outside, more adult apex appeared, massive shadows moving across the stars. The entire galaxy waited for the next move, and at the center of that moment was one human holding 3 powerful babies who refused to leave his arms. The war everyone feared had not begun yet, but something even stranger had. The giant apex adults hovered silently above the horizon 4, their massive bodies blocking the stars like living mountains. Every alien soldier on the ship waited in fear, unsure if the next second would be their last. Even the ship's engines hummed more quietly, as if afraid of attracting attention. But the cubs in Commander Ryan's arms purred happily. They showed no fear at all. They were supposed to be the most dangerous young predators ever seen, but here they behaved like soft, affectionate creatures. Ryan gently rubbed one cub's ear. "It's all right. You're safe." The cub looked up at him with glowing eyes that softened like warm embers. The alien crew, however, did not feel safe. Several officers whispered behind Ryan, arguing quietly. "If the adults attack, we cannot defend." "They came for the cubs. Why don't they take them?" "Why are the cubs choosing a human? This is wrong." Ryan heard them, but he stayed calm. His instinct said something important was happening, something that even the Galactic Council did not understand. The ship's sensors beeped again. Another signal appeared on the screen, a fast, sharp pulse, then another, then 5 more. These were not apex signals. They belonged to warships. Dark, angular shapes slipped out of hyperspace like blades cutting through the void. Their engines burned with red light. Their weapons glowed. Their shields cracked like lightning. The alien crew gasped. "It's the Dravic Empire! They followed the Apex Trail!" Ryan's jaw tightened. The Dravic were known across the galaxy for hunting powerful creatures and turning them into biological weapons. If they captured an Apex cub, even one, the consequences would be unthinkable. The Dravic commander's voice echoed through the comms. Harsh, cold. "This is Commander Soltran of the Dravic Empire. Step aside, humans. Hand over the cubs." Ryan's eyes narrowed. "These cubs are not weapons. They are children." Soltran laughed, a cruel metallic sound. "Children? No. They are the most valuable military asset in the galaxy, and they will belong to us." Ryan took one step forward, placing himself fully between the cubs and the screen. "You will not touch them." Soltran's voice darkened. "Then you choose death." The Dravic ships activated their weapons. Red energy charged at their cannons. The alien crew of Horizon 4 panicked. "Commander, we cannot fight them. They will tear us apart." "Raise shields. Prepare for impact." Ryan shook his head. "No, stand down." The alien stared at him like he was insane. "If we do not defend ourselves, they will destroy us." Ryan stared at the cubs, then at the massive apex adults outside the ship. "We may not need to defend ourselves." As if sensing danger, the cubs suddenly stopped purring. Their small bodies stiffened. Their glowing eyes flashed with bright, fiery color. They turned their heads toward the Dravic ships. A vibration rippled through the air, low and deep. The cubs were growling. Not like cute animals, but like young predators ready to protect something precious. Outside, the apex adults reacted instantly. Their bodies lit up with violent energy. Patterns under their skin shifted like storms. Their wings unfolded with thunder. Every alien on Horizon 4 felt a wave of terror hit their minds. The apex adults were no longer calm. They were angry. Ryan felt the cub's claws grip his armor tightly. They pressed against him, shaking with instinct. Not fear, but readiness. "These cubs don't want to flee," Ryan whispered. "They want to fight." The Dravic commander spoke again, unaware of the danger he was provoking. "Last warning, human. Hand them over." Ryan looked straight into the camera. "No," Soltran hissed. "Then watch your ship burn." He raised his hand to give the order. But before he could speak, the space outside exploded with light. A roar louder than anything the galaxy had ever heard shook every ship. It came from the largest apex adult, a sound so powerful that the stars themselves seemed to tremble. The Dravik ships were thrown backward, their shields collapsing under the pressure wave. The aliens on Horizon 4 fell to the floor, covering their ears, screaming from the psychic force of it. Only Ryan remained standing, the cubs clinging to him tightly. The giant apex adult moved fast, impossibly fast for its size. One moment it floated far away, the next moment it slammed into the lead Dravik ship like a meteor. Metal cracked, engines died. Half the ship broke apart in silence before erupting into energy fragments. The alien crew gasped in horror. The Dravik commander's voice cut through the static. "You fools! Do you understand what you have done? These monsters will not stop! They will kill everyone!" Ryan didn't believe that. The adult Apex had attacked only the threatening ships, not Horizon 4. But the danger wasn't over. More Dravik ships, uncloaked, surrounding the Apex adults from behind. Energy nets launched, glowing with trapping fields strong enough to hold star beasts. The cubs cried out loudly, a desperate, frightened noise. The giant Apex adults roared again, rushing toward the nets, tearing through them. But the Dravik were prepared. New nets fired. More traps launched. The Apex adults struggled as chains of red energy wrapped around their wings. The cubs panicked in Ryan's arms. They clawed the air, hissing and crying. "They're trying to take their parents," Ryan said softly. The alien crew looked at him in shock. "What do we do? If we intervene, the Dravik will attack us." Ryan took a deep breath. "No," he said. "If we do nothing, the Dravik will win." He stepped forward, holding the cubs close. "We protect the cubs. Their parents are fighting alone, but they shouldn't fight alone." The aliens stared at him, confused and terrified. "You want us to help Apex monsters?" Ryan nodded once. "They trusted me. Now it's my turn." The cubs looked up at him with wide eyes. Outside, the Apex adults screamed in pain as more nets wrapped around them. Inside, Ryan Hale made his decision, and the galaxy would never forget what happened next. The Horizon 4 trembled under the pressure waves of the Apex adults' desperate struggle. Red nets of Dravik energy crackled across space, tightening around the giant creatures like chains of fire. Sparks and fragments of broken armor drifted through the void. The cubs in Ryan's arms cried louder, their small bodies shaking in panic as their parents roared in pain. Ryan felt something shift inside him, a strong anger, cold and sharp. He did not know these creatures well. He did not understand their culture. He barely knew why the cubs trusted him. But deep in his heart, he knew one thing. No child should watch their family be taken. He looked at the alien officers on the bridge. Many were trembling, unsure, afraid. But they looked to him for guidance. Ryan straightened his back. "We cannot stand here and do nothing," he said. His voice was calm but firm. Lieutenant Varu, a reptilian alien with dark scales, hissed nervously. "Commander, if we attack the Dravik, we will start a war." Ryan shook his head. "The war has already started, and the Dravik don't care who gets hurt." The cubs pressed closer to him, as if they understood his decision. Their fur glowed brighter, almost like they were sharing their courage with him. Ryan turned to the weapon controls. "Power the ion cannons. Target the nets only. Avoid hitting the adults." The crew hesitated. "Commander, are you sure?" Ryan nodded. "Do it." The Horizon 4's engines steadied. The ship adjusted its angle. The weapons glowed, ready to fire. But before they could shoot, the Dravik commander appeared again on the main screen. Commander Soltran's face twisted with fury. "Human, you dare interfere in Dravik operations? These creatures belong to us." Ryan stared into the screen. "They belong to no one. They are not your tools," Soltran snarled. "You are protecting beasts. Weakness like that destroys civilizations." Ryan replied softly. "No, cruelty does." Silence. Then Soltran screamed, "Fire on the human ship!" Red beams shot across space, slamming into the Horizon 4's shields. The ship shook violently. Lights flickered. Alarms blared. The alien crew clung to the consoles. "Shields failing! Structural damage on Deck 3. Commander, we cannot take another hit!" Ryan gritted his teeth. "Return fire. Target the weapons only." The Horizon 4 unleashed blue ion blasts. They struck the Dravik cannons with precision, shutting them down without destroying the ships. Soltran's face twisted even more. "You fool! You think you can win against the Dravik Empire?" Ryan did not answer. He looked out the window again. The Apex adults were weakening. The nets pulsed with red energy, draining their strength. One giant wing fell limp. Another creature roared, but the sound was fading. The cubs wailed loudly. Their small cries cut through the noise, full of fear and pain. Ryan felt his heart tighten. "We're losing time. We need to break those nets now." Varu spoke quietly. "Commander, there is a dangerous option. Tell me. We can overload our core and send a directed energy burst. It may disrupt all the nets at once." Ryan frowned. "And the danger? It could disable our ship completely." The crew stared at him. Some looked terrified. Some looked ready. Ryan looked down at the cubs. Their glowing eyes watched him, full of trust. He made his choice. "Prepare for core burst. Focus the wave toward the nets only." The crew moved fast. Fear turned into determination. Aliens who once hated humans now followed a human into danger because they trusted him. The Horizon 4 powered down non-essential systems. Lights dimmed. Engines hummed. Energy filled the air like a silent storm. Ryan tightened his arms around the cubs. "Hold on. This might hurt." All three pressed their heads to his chest. "Energy spike ready," Varu announced. "Awaiting command." Outside, the Apex adults' roars grew weaker. One creature collapsed on its side, the nets cutting deep into its glowing skin. The sight filled Ryan with rage. "Fire!" he ordered. A massive blue wave burst out from the Horizon 4, expanding like a ripple of pure light. It spread across the battlefield, striking every red net at once. For a single second, the universe went quiet. Then, the nets exploded. Red fragments shattered into dust, dissolving into the void. The nets holding the Apex adults vanished instantly. The giant creatures jerked upright, free again. The cubs cried out in relief. But the Horizon 4 went dark. Engines offline, shields offline, weapons offline. The ship drifted helplessly, smoke rising from the consoles. Some crew fell to the floor, stunned by the energy burst. Ryan stood still, breathing hard. "We did it," he whispered. The Apex adults slowly rose, shaking off the energy residue. Their glowing patterns brightened again, full of renewed strength. Then something unexpected happened. One giant Apex turned its massive head toward the Horizon 4. Its eye glowed softly, no longer filled with rage. It leaned closer until its huge face filled the windows. The crew held their breath. Was this thanks or judgment? Ryan felt the cubs press against him tightly. Their eyes glowed brighter than before, responding to the adults. The massive creature blinked slowly. A gesture of acknowledgement, a gesture of respect, a gesture of recognition. But the moment ended as fast as it came. The Dravik ships reactivated their engines. Soltran's voice screamed through the comms. "Destroy the human ship! Kill everyone! Take the cubs!" But before he could give another order, the largest Apex adult moved. It spread its wings, massive, glowing, terrifying, and let out a roar so powerful it sent shockwaves across space. The roar hit the Dravik fleet like a hammer. Several ships spun out of control. Others broke apart. Energy shields collapsed instantly. The remaining Dravik ships fled into hyperspace, disappearing like cowards. Silence returned. Ryan let out a long breath of relief. The cubs purred again, calmer now. The alien crew slowly stood up, looking at him with disbelief. Varu spoke softly. "You saved their parents, and they saved us." Rian nodded. "We helped each other." But the moment of peace didn't last long, because from the deep void, a new signal appeared. Not Dravik, not Apex, something else. Something older, something watching. And Ryan felt for the first time a new fear growing. The cubs sensed it too. They pressed closer to him, trembling again. The next threat was coming, and it would change everything. A cold silence settled over the Horizon 4. The lights flickered weakly as emergency power tried to recover. Smoke drifted in thin curls from damaged panels. Crew members spoke in hushed voices, still shaking from the battle with the Dravik. But even with all the damage, one thing was clear. They had survived only because the Apex adults chose not to destroy them. Rian stood near the main window, holding the cubs as he watched the massive creatures drifting outside. The adults hovered protectively around the ship like silent guardians. Their glowing patterns were calmer now, no longer burning with anger. The cubs purred softly, finally feeling safe, but the sensor screens continued to beep, a new signal, a slow, steady pulse, one that did not match any known species. Lieutenant Varu checked the readings again. "Commander, whatever is approaching it is not Dravik. It is something far older." Ryan frowned. "How old?" Varu swallowed. "Possibly older than the Apex themselves." The cubs suddenly stopped purring. Their bodies tensed, their ears flattened. A frightened whine escaped their throats. They pushed their faces into Ryan's chest, trembling like they wanted to disappear. Ryan felt their fear like a physical weight. "They know what it is." Varu nodded nervously. "If these creatures scare even Apex younglings, then we should run." The ship, however, could not run. The Horizon 4 still floated helplessly, without full power. Engines needed hours to restart. Shields needed even longer. They were a sitting target. A deep vibration echoed across space, not a roar, not a scream. A heartbeat, slow, heavy, ancient. The Apex adults responded instantly. Their wings spread wide, their glowing patterns shifted into sharp, bright lines. They formed a protective circle around the Horizon 4, shielding the human ship from the approaching darkness. Ryan tightened his grip on the cubs. What are they protecting us from? The darkness appeared slowly, like ink spreading across the stars. A strange shape emerged, huge, twisted, and covered in armor-like plates that pulsed with sickening colors. Its eyes glowed with void energy, colder than space itself. The alien bridge fell completely silent. The creature was so massive that even the Apex looked small beside it. Varu whispered, "Commander, that is a void-born Leviathan." Ryan had heard old legends. Stories told in whispers, creatures born from dead galaxies. They did not eat. They did not sleep. They did not communicate. They consumed energy, all energy, ships, planets, stars, even living beings. A second heartbeat echoed across the void, vibrating through metal. The cubs cried out in terror, their tiny bodies shaking violently. One Apex adult released a roar of challenge, brighter and more powerful than before. But the Leviathan didn't flinch. It drifted closer, its mouth opening slowly like a black hole. Ryan felt fear crawl up his spine. He turned toward the engineering console. "We need power. Anything, even 10%. Varu shook his head. "We cannot restart the engines yet." Ryan stared at the cubs. They stared back with glowing, frightened eyes. And then he remembered something. During the Dravik attack, the cubs had reacted to danger with bursts of energy. Could they help now? He knelt on the floor, holding each cub gently. "Listen to me. I know you're scared. But your parents need you. We need you." The cubs looked at each other, then at him. Their fear did not vanish, but a small spark of courage returned. They stepped forward and placed their tiny paws on the main power core panel. The ship vibrated. Lights flickered. A soft blue glow began to build. Varoo gasped. "Commander, they're charging the ship." The cubs closed their eyes tightly, focusing all their energy. Their glowing fur brightened until the room was filled with light. The consoles blinked back to life one by one. Shields powered up. Engines restarted at 10%, then 20. Ryan whispered, "Good babies. You're doing it." But powering the ship drew the Leviathan's attention. The massive creature turned toward the Horizon 4, sensing new energy. Its eyes darkened and its mouth widened. Ryan stood quickly. "Divert power to shields! Maximum strength!" The Leviathan released a pulse of void energy. It hit the apex adults first. The creatures roared in pain, their bodies pushed back. Their glowing patterns dimmed sharply. Ryan's heart raced. They can't hold much longer. Another pulse came, stronger this time. The apex adults struggled to stay in front of the ship. One of them faltered, wings folding in pain. The cubs cried out from the console, their energy flickering. Ryan knelt beside them. "Stay with me. You're doing great." "Don't stop." The two larger cubs pressed their paws down again, but the smallest one stumbled. It looked exhausted. Ryan lifted it into his arms. "It's okay, little one. I've got you." The Leviathan prepared another pulse. Ryan pushed the emergency comms. "Apex Elders, if you can hear us, strike together. Push it back." The adults responded with a roar, their glowing lines flaring bright. They gathered energy in their bodies, charging for a massive counterattack. The Leviathan released its void pulse. The apex adults unleashed their roars at the same time. The collision shook space like a storm. Waves of darkness and light smashed together, sending debris flying. The Horizon 4 rocked wildly. Consoles sparked. The crew struggled to stay upright. Varoo shouted, "Commander!" "The Leviathan is weakening, but so are the apex adults." Ryan looked at the cubs. They pushed energy into the ship with all their strength. Their small bodies glowed painfully bright. He touched the console. "Divert all power to the apex adults. Help them." Even Varoo hesitated. "Commander, that leaves us unprotected." Ryan nodded. "Protecting them protects us." The ship released all stored energy in a focused beam toward the apex adults. Their bodies brightened instantly, glowing like stars. Their strength returned in a sudden surge. They roared together, one final deafening cry. The Leviathan reeled back, its void armor cracked, its heartbeat weakened. Then slowly, unwillingly, it retreated, fading back into the darkness it came from. The apex adults collapsed, exhausted but alive. The crew sighed in relief. Ryan held the smallest cub close. "You did it. All of you." But deep down, Ryan knew something important. The Leviathan was not defeated. It was only scared away. And it would return. Not for the apex, not for the cubs, not for the humans, but for the energy inside Ryan's ship, and the message it carried. A message that could change the fate of the galaxy. Forever. The Horizon 4 drifted in the silent aftermath of the battle. Faint sparks floated through the air as damaged systems powered down. The crew lay exhausted across the bridge, breathing hard but alive. The apex adults, though weakened, hovered close to the ship like tired guardians who refused to leave. The cubs rested in Rion's arms, their glowing fur dim but warm. Their tiny chests rose and fell in slow, steady breaths. They had given everything, every drop of their strength, to save their parents, the humans, and even the galaxy from the Leviathan. Ryan stroked the smallest cub gently. "You were so brave," he whispered. "All of you." The smallest cub nuzzled his hand and gave a soft chirp. Varoo limped toward him, leaning on a broken console. "Commander." The Leviathan left the area. Sensors show no remaining void signatures. Ryan nodded but did not smile. It will be back someday. Creatures like that don't give up. Varu hissed softly. Then we must warn the Council. The galaxy is not ready for enemies like this. Ryan looked out the window at the apex adults. They floated silently, staring back at the human ship with an expression almost impossible for their huge forms to show. Gratitude. They've been fighting threats like this for ages, Ryan said. Alone. Varu stared in surprise. You think the Apex have been protecting the galaxy? Ryan nodded slowly. Yes, not destroying, not invading, protecting, and we misunderstood them from the start. The bridge fell silent again. The truth hung heavily in the air. Moments later, a soft vibration spread through the ship as one of the Apex adults moved closer. It placed one enormous paw gently against the hull, sending a ripple of warm light through the metal. The cubs lifted their heads weakly, responding to the light with soft chirps. The adult Apex lowered its massive head to the airlock entrance. Ryan knew what it wanted. He stood tall and walked to the airlock with the cubs in his arms. The door opened slowly, revealing the huge creature waiting outside. Its glowing patterns flickered gently like a beating heart. The cubs stared at their parent, torn between two instincts. They loved their parents, but they also loved the human who had protected them. Ryan knelt and placed them on the floor. Go on, he whispered. They need you. The smallest cub looked back at him one last time, a soft, sad chirp escaping its throat. But after a moment, it stepped toward the giant Apex adult. The other two followed. The adult lowered its head and nudged them gently, full of affection and relief. Ryan felt a strange ache in his chest. He knew this was the right thing, but it still hurt. For a brief moment, those cubs felt like his own children. Varu stepped beside him. Commander, are you all right? Ryan let out a slow breath. Yes. It's just, they trusted me, and I trusted them. The adult Apex extended one large wing, creating a protective space for the cubs beneath it. But before turning away, it looked directly at Ryan. Its glowing eye stared at him with deep intelligence. A soft pulse of light traveled across its body, a message, a silent promise. Varu translated quietly, his voice trembling. Commander, I think it is thanking you. The other Apex adults joined in, forming a circle around the Horizon 4. Together, they produced a deep, gentle sound that vibrated through the ship, not a roar of rage, but a low, soothing hum. The entire crew felt it. Respect, unity, peace. Ryan stood straighter, placing his hand over his heart. And I thanked them. The moment did not last long. A communication call crackled through the speakers. The council leader's voice returned, full of tension. Commander Hale, your signal disappeared during the battle. What is your ship's condition? What happened to the Apex? Ryan hesitated. Would the council understand? Or would they panic and start another war? He looked at the Apex adults, then at the cubs sheltered beneath their wings. He thought about the Leviathan, about the Dravik, about the truth he had seen with his own eyes. These creatures were not enemies. They were protectors. Ryan stepped forward and addressed the council with calm confidence. The Apex are not attacking us, he said. They never were. They were searching for their young, and they defended us from a danger none of us were prepared for. The council leader sounded confused. You mean they protected a human ship? Yes, Ryan said, because we protected their cubs. Chaos erupted behind the council leader. Advisors shouted. Debates exploded. Some wanted to open peace talks. Others wanted to flee the galaxy. Others wanted to study the Apex further. But Ryan raised his voice firmly. The Apex are not our enemies. They are our allies. Whether the Council accepts it or not, humanity and the Apex stood together today. That is the truth. Varu stared at him with respect. You have changed everything, Commander. Ryan vaguely smiled. Maybe. Or maybe we just saw what everyone else refused to see. The Council eventually calmed enough to respond. Commander Hale, return home when your ship is repaired. We need your full report. The galaxy needs answers. Ryan closed the channel. He walked back to the window. The Apex adults slowly opened their wings and turned toward deep space. The cubs stayed close to them, glowing softly with renewed strength. Before disappearing, one last soft hum echoed through the void, directed only at him, a final goodbye. But something in that sound told Rian it wasn't the end. Varu stood beside him. Do you think we will see them again? Rian rested his hand on the window. Yes, I'm sure of it. The Horizon 4 drifted quietly. The Apex disappeared into the stars. And for the first time in galactic history, humans and Apex shared peace, not because of treaties, not because of war, but because one human had looked at the galaxy's most feared creatures and called them my sweet babies. And the galaxy would never forget it.